Hi everyone, we're Travel with Johnny and Will, and today we get on board P&O Iona for our 7-night Norwegian Fjords cruise.
Yeah, so we flew to Southampton from Belfast yesterday evening. We didn't arrive until around 7 p.m, so we had booked the Premier Inn hotel based at Southampton Airport, as it's only literally a 5-minute walk from the airport terminal building to the hotel. So that meant that literally we were there for about 7:20, and we were able to get into our room and just sort of chill out for about 15 or 20 minutes before heading for dinner. And we had a great night's stay, and we'll put a link in the description below and on screen, hopefully, to our previous video that we did the last time we stayed there, just so that you can check out that hotel. So we travelled then by taxi. We're travelling with my mum and my aunt. And as we have obviously 4 cases and hand luggage and then 2 walking aids, we did need a bigger taxi, so we used this guy Ersan, who we had used previously in Southampton whenever we were on my birthday cruise, and we'll actually stick his number on screen now, just for anybody that is needing like a 7-seater taxi whenever you're in Southampton, because it is handy to know someone that you can pre-book with.
So we left the Premier Inn at around 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon, and we went straight to the Ocean Cruise Terminal, which was the terminal for P&O Iona. So after leaving our baggage off at one of the baggage pods, we proceeded into the terminal building, and when we went up the lift and got out the other side, there was a lady standing and she escorted us to the assistance queue, and at that point we were able to check in, both me and Johnny and both your mum and aunt.
Yeah, so on before your cruise holiday with P&O, there is a section on the website that if you require any kind of assistance during your cruise, whether it's during embarkation or during emergency and things like that, you're to make that known on the website by filling in a form. And as we had done that already, Mum and Aunt, their name was on a list of people, so that whenever we went there we were able to check in separately.
Yeah.
Which was really great, because it meant then we didn't have to stand in queues, and for them they would have struggled to stand in the queues because they were quite lengthy even though they were moving, but it just sort of meant then that there was a section of the cruise terminal assigned for people that had disabilities, that then at least they could sit and wait then to be called forward then to complete the check-in process.
And then after that it was a fast track through security, and then after that straight onto the ship.
So once on the ship, you are supposed to go to your muster station. However, whenever we got on, there was such a queue for the lifts, we sort of decided to walk away from that bank of lifts then to go to another set, and then we kind of just sort of forgot then to go to muster, so we then headed straight to the quays because we wanted something to eat. And the quays is this sort of little setup. It's kind of nearly like a fast food sort of takeout or like food court, and there was 3 stations. There was one that was selling. There was one that was making burgers and hot dogs and chips.
Yeah, the American Grill or something it was called.
Yeah, the Boardwalk Grill, and
Boardwalk,
then the middle one was basically then it was like an Asian station. Fusion. And so basically you actually went there.
Chicken katsu with noodles.
Yeah, which looked really nice. However, I would have preferred it with rice.
Yeah, it would have been nice with rice.
Because you were sort of like slurping away at your noodles.
Yeah.
And then the other one was fish and chips, and myself and my mum actually had the fish and chips, and it was really delightful. It was the food was really hot. The batter was nice and thin on the fish and nice and crispy. So it was really, really nice.
Yeah, and I think in terms of it being like something where you would go grab and go, it literally was. You went up, asked for it, and you went. There was no wait time at all.
Yeah, hardly any wait time at all.
Yeah.
So we just had something to eat, and then we were like, right, now we must go to muster. So we headed then down to our muster station and got our boarding pass scanned. And with P&O, it's slightly different than other cruise lines in that whenever you are boarding, you have the boarding pass, and you use that basically to scan for drinks and muster and things like that until you get to your cabin and get your cruise cards, because here your cruise cards are at your cabin doors. But after visiting the muster, then we decided to head to our cabins to check those out.
So our cabin was on deck 15, and upon entering the cabin, I was actually really surprised at how bright and modern it was, and especially because they used this nice blue colour, and normally in cabins you don't really see the blue tones, maybe thinking that would be a bit cool. But yeah, in terms of the cabin, it's actually very similar to our MSC cabins in terms of where the bed was, where the sofa is, where the wardrobes are. But I do think the bathroom is slightly bigger on this ship, yeah.
Yeah, we'll put a link to the cabin tour in the description below and on screen, because we have a full, we're going to do a full, basically, cabin tour and review video after we've spent some time here. But so far, it's really nice.
Yeah, and the bed's super comfy.
Yeah. After having a look around our cabin, we decided then to head down to the Oasis Spa. And we just kind of wanted to have a look around. We have, ahead of coming on the cruise, we have booked a 2-hour thermal suite pass, which I think we're using on day 5. The plan is we just wanted to have a look around, sort of see what it was like, see what we have to look forward to, and also sort of see the treatments and that were available and get a rough idea of pricing. The guy that showed us around was really nice. I have to say, looking at the prices of some of the treatments, they're not overly expensive. You know, sort of, we've been on cruises where you pay a huge amount of money for something like a massage, and you just sort of think to yourself, would I pay this amount of money or even like half this amount of money at home? And be like, no, but they're actually really reasonably priced on board here.
I think you're possibly thinking about Azamara and the prices we paid for some of the stuff on that spa. But yeah, it's definitely a bit lower than that, but still above what you pay on land.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. What was quite interesting about the spa as well was that it was split over 2 levels. There was actually stairs in the middle, and then the stairs took you down to all the treatment rooms, and was the thermal
suite was down
there, wasn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, again, later on in our vlog series, we'll bring you more footage about the spa and how we get on there.
One of the things I was really looking forward to that I knew P&O Iona had was the promenade deck. So a lot of more modern ships have sort of done away with this concept. They don't have the ability to walk around the entire ship. So in this ship, it's on deck 8, and it basically goes all the way to the front. Well, not all the way to the front, but basically most of the way, and then it wraps around all the way to the back. And there's a bar at the back. So we went out to have a look at that, and yeah, it was really cool. Although in the weather that we had when we were coming away from Southampton, it could be a bit chilly and windy, and you will find on certain windier days there might be parts of it that are closed just for safety, so just keep that in mind.
And then we decided then to call into the Sky Dome, just really to have a look at it. And then we discovered that there's a little grill section that was serving, they served like hot dogs, burgers, and then they had lasagna as well, which was strange.
360?
Taste 360 it was called, yeah. But again, it was just really about having a little mooch around, seeing what was about the place. And that's really what people do on the first day of a cruise. It's just really like walk about, get lost, and trying to find your bearings. So that's what we decided to do before our sail away. So there was no great spectacular sail away as such from Southampton, but we were back at our cabin anyway. We just enjoyed the sail away from our balcony, and then we got unpacked, because basically whenever we get on board the cruise ship, we do like to get everything unpacked, get the cases put away. That's when our holiday really starts then, because we're not ones for sort of like being out and about and then sort of coming back. We did this once, I think, on a cruise where we ended up just going all out, having drinks and things like that. We were a bit tipsy. This was on MSC Virtuosa, and we ended up a bit tipsy coming back to the cabin, and then having to start unpack and then get ready was a nightmare. So now we just like to get on board, get our bearings, get unpacked and get the suitcases away, and then we can really enjoy our trip away.
So after unpacking, we got ready for dinner, and we wanted to dine in one of the main dining rooms on board. So on P&O, you can either turn up without a reservation, or you can join a virtual queue on the My Holiday once you have the ship Wi-Fi, and you can have the little app on your phone. Join that queue, and then it'll basically tell you how many are in the queue in front of you, and then it'll just count down. It'll keep chipping those people off until it pulls you up to the front of the queue, and then it gives you, once you accept that reservation, it gives you 15 minutes to go to that restaurant. So tonight we dined at Opal restaurant, which is just one of the main dining rooms on deck 6.
There are, I think, another 3. So we hope to sort of just try each of them, even though we know the menu is probably the same, but we hope to just sort of try each of them just to sort of see what they're like in terms of decor and layout and things like that.
And just a note on the dining, it's freedom dining, so it's anytime dining. There's no set times for your dining,
which really suits us. And as well as saying about the My Holiday app, the other thing is whenever you're making your reservation, you can put down how many people it's for. So for us, we were able to add in basically another 2 passengers and say we wanted a table for 4. It does also give you the tip that if you want to share a table, you can tick yes or no, and it does say on it that if you want to share a table with others, that it does basically get you in quicker. But for us, we just wanted to make sure we had a table for ourselves and a table that was going to be suitable then, obviously, for mum and aunt with their walk-in eats.
Definitely, yeah. So for our starter, actually, I think everybody at the table had the croquette, which was, let me see what it was. It was a Dutch-style chicken deep-fried croquette, and it came with onion rings and like a tomatoey sauce.
It was lovely.
It was so good, yeah.
It was sort of really like party food.
It was really nice.
It was like having the starter of party food.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all really enjoyed that. And then my main, I had the thick cut pork loin, and it came with like an apricot stuffing and potatoes and like roast potatoes and veg.
Yeah, and I had the vegetarian option, which was the pumpkin and courgette noodles. This might be a theme on this cruise that I stick to the more vegetarian options. I don't know why I'm leading this way, but I don't know what I'm saying. No, I haven't said this.
Well, Will's one of these people, like, at the minute, like, he's going through this stage where meat is really, like, putting him off.
Turn off, yeah.
So, like, whenever, like, we're cooking at home, and if we make, like, a HelloFresh meal, like, literally will sit and pick out the chicken, or pick out the bits of beef.
I just want, like, the sauce and the rice, or the sauce and the pasta, or the sauce and the noodles.
So really, we should just like feed you on like pasta and one of those like Domino kind of stir-in sauces or something.
But the good thing about a cruise, though, is because there's always vegetarian options. It's a good chance to try all these different things as well, instead of sticking to your standard meat things.
Just don't expect me to start cooking all these things when we get home, because that's not going to happen. But yeah, then dessert. I had for dessert. What did I have for dessert? I had the sticky toffee pudding.
Did you?
Yeah.
I had that as well.
Yeah, we both had sticky toffee pudding, and again, it was really nice. It was very light.
It could have done with more of the sauce, because on the plate it was like the pudding, and then the custard was like white, and like a little puddle. I was gonna say a puddle.
I think it
tasted really good.
I think it was more like a vanilla sauce as opposed to extra custard.
That's what it was like, actually, yeah.
But look, we didn't complain. No. We left none of it on our plate, so like, what does that say?
Plus, one thing to note, like for the first night, MDR, the speed of service was really good. Like, I don't think we could have wanted it any quicker than how we got it. It was actually really good. Yeah,
one of the things I actually sort of was a bit worried about coming away was I had read on different Facebook groups and things, people complaining about the standard of service in the likes of the restaurants and the speed of service and all the rest of it, but we never found any problems, certainly on our first night.
No, definitely not.
After our meal, we literally came out, didn't go too far, and then we stumbled across Anderson's bar. So we just went in and we ordered a couple of drinks and sat there, and there was a bit of background music playing, and we just sort of sat there for a while and chilled with a drink, because we had reservations then to go to the theatre show, which was at 8:30.
So the show tonight was called The Sky's the Limit. And it was held in the Headliners Theatre by the Headliners cast. The Headliners Theatre is, you can enter on deck 6, and that will get you completely flat access all the way to the very front of the theatre, or you can enter on deck 7 and then have to use the steps to make your way down. When we first entered the theatre, the way it's set up, there's a lot of digital screens around the actual stage,
And from the stage out into the audience. Yeah.
And it really sort of like threw me off a bit. And because this was called The Sky's the Limit, they had it set up as if you were at an airport. So there was all these different bing bongs and sounds and call for passenger, whatnot. I was starting to get like, I thought it was visually overloading a little bit because you're meant to be at a theatre, but it was like you were at an airport. So it worked clearly, but yeah, I thought it was a lot. So then do you want to explain about the show?
Yeah, so basically it was... there was a bit of a story to it in that it starts off with like the singers and dancers coming out and they're like the captain and the air cabin crew and passengers and things, and they're all rushing about the airport and they're boarding their flight. There's a little section where there's like a song about and dancing about like the baggage handlers, and then they get onto this plane and then they go to like New York and they go to China. Was there somewhere? And then they go to London,
yeah.
And they do like sort of songs and singing and dancing in each of those destinations.
And then after the visited destinations, they fly back home and land the plane.
Yeah,
as well.
But like, obviously, we weren't allowed to film anything from the show, prohibited, which was really, really sad. But we have to say, if you're on Iona or if this show is on any other of the P&O fleet, I would definitely go and see it. I know Will said it was a bit of like sensory overload nearly, but I really enjoyed it. I thought that the effects that they used was spectacular. They had like in the baggage handling section, they had all these little like conveyor belts that they were all sort of like standing on. They were throwing suitcases.
They were like treadmills, which they were able to have battery powered, and they were wheeling them all about. How they...
And then, you know... The
production value was very high, yeah.
You know, then, the passengers are sort of sitting on these, like, airline seats. They're given the safety demo. And then, you know, they're obviously being prepared for takeoff. And then all of a sudden, out of the bottom of the stage, the front of an aircraft comes up. And you basically see then the pilot and co-pilot sitting there. There's like wings then, and with that and the digital screens, it really does a really great simulation of the plane taking off.
Really well put together, yeah.
So I really enjoyed the show. The singing and dancing was grand, and like I say, there were some of the songs obviously were ones that you knew. There was obviously a couple of produced songs as well thrown in there, but I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't mind actually seeing that show again.
Yeah. So a bit later on, we decided to go up to the buffet for the late snacks. And I say late like this because on Iona, they start at 9:30 and they go on to 1:15 in the morning. And this was a little bit shocking for us both. There was literally everything you could have thought of that you could have had for lunch or dinner. The only meal it didn't include was breakfast.
Yeah, there was a huge amount of food.
It was ridiculous.
And like the variety, you know, there was like, you know, meats, cheeses, salads, rolls, filled rolls. There was like a stew.
There was an Irish stew. There was like a curry.
Chips. Cornish pasties.
Desserts.
Yeah, I think I saw mashed potato at one point.
Yeah.
There was just a huge amount of food. We just couldn't believe it. You know, normally whenever you go to like a late-night buffet on ships, it's like, say, burgers, chips, a curry. Maybe that's about it.
We've been in cruises where there hasn't even been a buffet.
Yeah, or anything that late at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were literally amazed. But we just had a little snack. Nothing too great.
Yeah.
Will is a fan of cheese and crackers.
Yeah, I am.
So he had his cheese and crackers. So he was very happy that he got his cheese and crackers. And then we headed into the Sky Dome. Because in the Sky Dome in the evening times, there are often shows from what I can see in the daily programme. There was 3 today, and we decided to go to the last one.
Yeah, so we went to the last show. It was at 10:15, so not that late. And the show was called Tribu. I didn't really understand the show. I think Johnny followed it a bit more. This is what I thought they were doing. Mm-hmm. So there were 2 tribes, and to start, they were like, pick your tribe.
Yes, the sun or the moon.
Okay. And then one person from each of the tribes came out, so there was like a dance thing, like an interpretive dance, and then two of them, one would have been a juggler and one had a little
like spinny
hoop thing. And then there was aerial artists as well.
Yeah, it was basically
really good,
it was basically very circusy acts. But yeah, you were sort of nearly right. So basically, it was a battle between the sun and the moon tribes, and basically then it was audience participation in terms of picking your tribe, who did you want to win, and things like that. So then they have battles.
Yeah.
And this all takes place over the pool. So they have like a stage.
There's two moving platforms that come out from the permanent stage.
Yeah.
And go over the pool, and it kept moving back and forward.
And there was like a lot of like lasers and smoke and...
Which I tried to record, and every time I pressed record, the lasers disappeared.
But it was fun. It lasted maybe about half an hour or so.
Yeah,
And
no, it was good.
although I was sort of like sitting going, because I knew there was kids sitting in the audience, and I was sitting in my head thinking, you know, is this sort of like, you know, teaching kids that it's okay to fight and battle and things like that? And then, you know, because obviously, you know, knowing that something like that is family friendly, of course not, because at the end of the show they then come about that basically everything's better if we work together, you know, and nearly that was the moral of the story, that the sun and the moon and all this here. So yes, so it was all a great happy ending in the end. But it was it was a great wee show to watch for half an hour. They were very talented in terms of their skills. In terms of on the aerial silks and things like that. So and we just enjoyed actually sitting there and having a drink watching it.
Yeah, and what was handy as well, on the upper deck of the Sky Dome, there was a bar right to the left of us where we were sitting, and there was waiter service, so that was really nice actually.
Yeah.
So after the show, we headed back to our cabin and called it a night.
So folks, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing, and then don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified then the next time we post a new video. Thanks for watching.
Bye.